Hey friends, welcome back to Thriving Line Healing Podcast. This is episode 64. This week we're going to talk about our top 10 things that we think you should have in your home for holistic wellness. So this is going to be a fun one. So let's just get started. Carmen, I'm going to let you start with the number one.
All right. So you're going to have to remind me what's the top of our list.
A chia machine.
All right. So
chia machine.
The chi machine. All right. So you guys may not have heard of a chi machine. The chi machines kind of got big in the 70s. And so they've kind of dropped off. Every once in a while, you can find one at a thrift store. But so the chi machine in Chinese medicine, right? The chi is our life force energy. So our chi is what helps to really create optimal health, or that robust health, right? That's what our cells need to regenerate. And so we need to have energy to feel better, to get us out of pain, and to stimulate flow, right? Flow of chi. So I'm always talking about when we're in stagnation, we experience pain. So I'm going to show you my chi machine. All right, maybe this will help. If I can find it on my video. So it sits like this, all right? So you'll see, you put your ankles in here, and then it shakes back and forth, and it creates a wave pattern to move the chi within our body. So it helps to open up the meridians. If our meridians are functioning well, then it's moving, it's opening up those channels so that chi can move, so we can reduce stagnation, promote health and healing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's really easy. It comes with its own little timer, and it doesn't take a lot, right? Anywhere. So the timer only goes to 15 minutes, but 2 or 3 minutes a day, right? When you're kind of feeling a little run down, if you feel like you're starting to get a little sick, if you're really stressed. I do this at the end of the day when I feel like I'm exhausted. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm pooped. Or if I'm having a slow morning to get going in the morning, I'll just do 5 minutes on my chi machine. Works really well. Yeah, there's a couple different brands, and so we'll tag one where you can find it, but this is the idea. This is kind of what it looks like. Yeah. And yeah, it can get things moving. So that is a great way to do that, especially if people have had injuries. If you have back pain, this can be really helpful to clear some of that stagnation. Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. Chi machine.
Chi machine. Number 2 is a Lymph Brush set.
Yes. So I should have brought my props. So a lymph brush moves the lymph, right? We've talked about lymph brushing in the past. So it's one of those go-tos. I have mine hanging in the bathroom. I use it this morning before I took a shower. You want to make sure that your lymph brush is made from natural fibers. Okay, so you don't want to use a plastic lymph brush. You want one that's either, most of the time it's made with not corn husks, but natural plant fibers, right? Is one that you prefer. They do have some that are made from like boar's hair. I usually have people consider like the softer ones, but whatever is your preference. But that lymph brush is handy to have so that you can quickly brush your whole body, from your feet up right to your heart, while you don't have any clothes on, before you take a shower, to get that lymph moving as well, right? That reduces our inflammation, reduces any swelling, and yeah, keeps things flowing as well.
Yeah. So I had one of those little gloves, like they're called exfoliating gloves, right?
Yeah.
And they're made out of probably plastic is what I would guess. I don't know. It feels like material. That's what I used forever. And then I got that Wildling Aura kit that has a lymph brush in it. And it's really beautiful. It's like this wood, it's made out of olive wood, and then it's got the natural bristles. It feels like I am using a metal SOS pad.
Oh,
so painful. I'm like, is this what this is supposed to feel like?
It's really stiff bristles.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So as you reduce the inflammation, and it will become less sensitive, right? Yeah. So, and of course, when you're lymph brushing, we're not using a lot of pressure.
Oh no,
right?
no, you can't, because they're like barely on my skin. Feels like it's just like scratching.
Yeah. So that might be a little, do you have to prime it, or like there are some companies when you use your lymph brush, they have you soak it for a day or two, the bristles to soften them up before you start using it.
That wasn't on the directions.
Okay, then maybe that's not the type of brush that you have. Yeah.
I was just like, if this is what these feel like, no wonder people don't like doing this, because it's like, it hurts.
It hurt. That's why I go for a softer one. Yeah. I mean, just like you would find with a hairbrush, right? There's different, whether that's a hard bristled, right, or a soft bristled brush. It's a similar thing with the lymph brushes. Sometimes I have to go to the store and like test them out. Like the whole natural grocery stores will usually have like a rack with them there, and so you kind of have to test them out. Once in a while, I find ones with natural bristles at Walmart. Yeah, that people will tell me about, and so you want to try them out a little bit before you invest in one.
Yeah, seriously.
Because they are very varying. And then so you want to hang it, I want to do real quick, you want to keep it near your shower, but not in the shower, right? Because you want that wood to dry out in between. And one lymph brush per person. So if there's multiple people in your house who are using the lymph brush, I usually tell folks to put it out in the sunshine, right? Let it dry really well, let that UV light kill the bugs, because on all of our skin, we also have bacteria and microbes, right? Everybody does. And so if you're living in the household, you're probably sharing some of those anyway, but it's better if you have one per person.
Why is it getting wet? Because you're supposed to do it before you get in the shower.
Well, some people will hang it in the shower and it'll get wet from the splash.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like if they hang it like on a hook in the actual shower.
Yeah, mine's in a drawer. Like I just, before I get in the bathtub or the shower,
mine hangs like right near where I hang my towel. Yeah. So it doesn't actually get in the shower, but some people store it in there. Yeah.
Lymph brushes. All right, number 3 is an essential oil diffuser.
Yes. So there are a ton of different essential oil diffusers available now. You can find them almost anywhere these days. The reason why I like essential oil diffusers is because essential oils is a very, very strong plant medicine, right? So people will use essential oils on their skin, but aromatherapy can also be very beneficial, right? When we're talking about our senses, our sense of smell is the only sense that goes directly to our brain. It bypasses, it goes directly to our brain, and it bypasses sort of the sensory information interpretation center, if you will, right? And so we can have direct effects on our brain with essential oils and with smells, right? The idea of the diffuser is that it is creating very small ultrasonic water particles it's releasing into the air with those essential oils. And it's a great thing to help to have that it's not something else you have to take, right? So sometimes people get bogged down taking supplements, taking pills and stuff. It's like, oh, I got to drink this, I got to take this, and I tell folks, turn your diffuser on at night, or when you wake up in the morning, let it run in your kitchen, right? Especially if you've got kids and it's homework time, right? And you need help focusing, run it in the background. As one of those things that will work for you immensely, that you're not, it's one of those that you're not having to actively take or give somebody in the family. So that's kind of nice.
Nice.
So I do have a caveat for that. If you are a cat person, you do have to be a little bit careful. Cats can be very sensitive to essential oils. And so if you have cats, You have to be careful as to what essential oils you put in there or how often you run it. Yeah, so it seems to affect cats a little bit differently than it does dogs. So,
Okay.
but yes.
Cool. All right. Number 4, a Berkey water filter. We both just got them, so we're pretty excited about them.
We talk about water all the time, right? We know that our body is 75 to 78% water. So we've heard this all our lives, right? And so we know that we need water. The quality of water is so important. We've talked about this in our detox program a while back, that the quality of water is changing, right? And the quality of water wherever you live, there are some things that are going to be similar, right? We know that they put chlorine and fluoride in all of our water if you have treated water. If you have well water, then you're a little bit dictated by where your well is and what's in the ground around it. If you are getting city water, water that's treated, it is more than likely exposed to whatever prescriptions or metabolites are high in your area, whether those are antidepressants or hormones or pain medicine. Whatever is high in your area is going to be in your water. So we need to filter and have good water. I love the Berkey system because it doesn't take electricity. It is gravity fed. They come in different sizes. I just upgraded. I had a 2 1/4 gallon. I just upgraded to the 3 1/4 gallon. That works better for us right now. And it filters out all of the pathogens, right? The microbes and stuff, which usually if your water's treated, it does that anyway. The treatment plants will kill it with chlorine. But like I said, it filters out all those prescription drugs and all those chemicals that's added at the water treatment facilities. It filters all that out, and then you have the option to also add a fluoride filter to reduce your fluoride exposure as well. Yeah. And then of course, as it sits out, it also is going to off gas that chlorine, right? Yeah. So what's nice about the Berkey is that it does not filter out the minerals, which is what we do need in our water, versus some other filtration systems or reverse osmosis systems will filter out the minerals as well. And so you're getting kind of a devoid water. So Berkey doesn't do that. It does keep the minerals in there. So that is another bonus. But making sure that you're drinking plenty of water and good quality water is essential for our health.
I love it because so we have our refrigerator has a filter on it, right? And water in Newcastle tastes much better than Paul's Valley water. So I thought our water was fine. And then I got my Berkey and like I filled up 2 different glasses of water, one from the fridge and one from the Berkey. And like you can smell the difference. The one from the fridge has like a fishy smell, which I never noticed before until I got the Berkey water. And it just tastes, it doesn't taste like anything. So it tastes so much better.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's much easier for me to drink Berkey water than water from the tap because it tastes different to me. Yes. Yeah. And I can tell, especially like if we go out to restaurants and I get water, some restaurants of water, I was like, gosh, this tastes like toilet water. I can't drink this.
Yes.
I was like, I'm just going to refill my water bottle and bring it in next time.
I mean, that's what I do. I love a hydro flask. This is a bonus one. Like, hydro flasks are my favorite because I hate when they sweat, like other containers sweat. Cold. I just take my hydro flask everywhere I go. And then I just ask them, like, hey, can I fill up my water? Or can you just fill this up? Or if they fill my glass up, I'll just dump the glass if I'm running out of my water in there. But yeah. Yes. Yeah. Berkey's worth it. They're like, I think I paid $270 for Memorial Day sale. I got the 2 1/4 gallon, but like they sent a ton of stuff with it, like 4 of the big glass soda bottles and the stainless steel spigot. Yeah. So totally worth the investment.
It really is in the long run. And those filters last quite a while.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes people always worry that you're gonna have to replace the filter so often. It's not like the pitchers you find in conventional stores, like the Brita or the Pure filters, where you're having to change it every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about the Berkeys. It's pretty uh, low maintenance, right? It's low maintenance. I don't have to change the filters out every 3 months. My original one, it's going on a year and a half, and I haven't, the water still is great. It's still testing well. So I haven't changed the filters in it. Yeah. And that's in Paoli with very high mineral, or not minerals, but what is it called? Dissolved particle or dissolved stuff in their water, where it's like, it turns everything white.
Oh, it's very hard water.
Hard water, thank you. Yeah. And so even in Paoli, where there's a lot of hard water, yeah, it's still been probably 18 months since I've had that, or maybe closer to 20 months since that water filter's been there, and it's, yeah, still where those original filters are still working really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's something else I was going to say about it. What was I going to say? I don't know. Oh, yes, I do. The EWG, we've talked about them before, and we talk about them in our 30-day detox program. So they have like the Skin Deep survey that you can go see all of your cosmetic stuff, whether it's toxic or not, or toxic free. They now have a water report. So if you go to the EWG and you type your zip code in, they have a report on what kind of your water quality.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm going to encourage everybody to do that. Yeah. So at least you have an idea, right, of what's in your water and the quality of your water. Yeah. Because some places are better than others, but yeah, that information hasn't always been easily accessible. So I'm excited that EWG has, gone that extra, put in that extra effort. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, number 5. I just found this tool and I'm already in love. And it's a Gua Sha.
Gua Sha.
Yeah, Gua Sha. Yes. You can buy them everywhere. They're all different shapes and sizes. I happen to purchase mine through Wildling. It came as that kit with that Lymph Brush and then the Gua Sha, and then it has like a mist and an oil. But it really is like a treat. It's like a very like, the box is beautiful and it's like this beautiful self-care kit. But I think that every person should have them. But if you're an athlete, you definitely should have them, because a lot of our muscles are super tight, and like it feels good to like relax those muscles. But I also know like I'm bringing circulation into that area and lymph drainage, and they've just been amazing.
I love that you found a Gua Sha. So Gua Sha is again, it's within the Chinese medicine umbrella, and you're exactly right. It's moving the lymph. So if you guys have ever heard of cupping, or have seen like, it got really big when Michael Phelps came to compete and he had those circle bruises all over him, that was cupping, and people, I want to try cupping. And cupping works really well with large muscle bodies, but Gua Sha, it works even better in those kind of nooks and crannies where it's hard to get a cup, right? So it works really well for like around shoulders, around necks, around between your shoulder blades, around knees and elbows, right around joints. It works really well. And it's
I don't have mine. I'll let you.
Okay, I don't have my tool here. Let's see yours. But they can be made, like Kim described, out of a lot of different types of materials. You prefer a natural material. The one I have is made out of a buffalo bone. But they are used to bring blood to the surface, right? So in Chinese medicine, if you're bringing blood to the surface, like in cupping, then you're also promoting that healing. You're telling your body like, hey, immune system, come and address this area because we need a little extra support. right?
Mhm.
So that's the idea of how it works.
This is the lightning one.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful one. That's large.
Yeah, it's huge. Like this is the body one. They have two. They have a body and then they have a face one. Yeah. So like this fits very nicely in there, right there along those traps in your neck.
Yeah.
And then it has a little comb piece here for like specific areas that you want to like focus in on. And then this part, because it helps with fascia and like cellulite. So like I have area cellulite, like I really dig into there. And then this is for the large bodies or large muscle bodies.
Large muscles. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I will also, so because you have a larger one,
Yeah.
that can work really well, especially the pointy end, if you will, for trigger points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either on yourself or on somebody else. That end is very helpful for like getting those like kind of deep, what else do people call trigger points?
Knots.
Thank you. To kind of work those out so you can increase that circulation and decrease that inflammation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love this thing. Yeah. And it's nice and heavy. So it's easier to hold on to, you know, because like, and this set, like this is the Lymph Brush. Like, see how beautiful it is?
Oh,
This
yeah.
is, like intense. But it comes with like this, I can't ever get them to focus.
Yeah.
Like this mist in the oil.
Oh, yes.
You have to have some kind of oil before you do this.
Yeah, you don't want to do that directly. I mean, you're using it directly on the skin, but you need some lubrication.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you could cause some damage to the blood vessels in the upper layer of your skin, and that's not what we're going for.
Right. And it's really interesting. Maybe you can describe right now, like, why is it in certain areas, like especially like this is where I keep all my tension is in my traps.
Yeah.
So when I do this, it turns red.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do it in other areas and it doesn't turn red. And I've watched videos, but I want your explanation of like why, because I think it's really interesting.
So what's actually happening is when you're using a Gua Sha tool, similar to cupping, you are bringing that inflammation to the surface, right? So in areas that you use these tools, if it does turn red or looks like a bruise, that's the area that you need to use it more. Right. Because the idea is that when we have tight muscles, right, we have less circulation in that area. So the more relaxation we have, the more bringing to the surface. So you're actually bringing that inflammation from deeper, but either between the muscles or deeper within the muscle to the surface. So then your immune system says, oh, hey, now I can begin to take care of that inflammation and decrease that inflammation with those immune cells, because we have our macrophages, which are like our garbage collectors. They come in and they eat up the things that we don't want to be there, and promote circulation. So anytime, you use a Gua Sha tool or you do cupping, usually the darker red that it creates the surface, the more you need to use that tool. Or in that area. Because you're trying to bring it to the surface. Otherwise, it'll stay stagnant between those tight muscle fibers, and that won't go anywhere, right? We're trying to promote circulation of, Yeah,
that makes so much more sense.
Yes, yeah. So sometimes people get a little bit nervous because they're like, oh gosh, what am I doing? Am I bruising myself? Am I, like breaking these capillaries? Am I causing problems? It doesn't always last very long, right? Like that redness, it doesn't last very long because your body is very efficient. When it sees a problem, it will try to take care of it. So we're just bringing awareness to your body and your immune system of like, hey, I need a little extra support here.
Yeah. And why this tool is my favorite too. Like not only are you tackling circulation and inflammation, but you're helping break up fascia, which is like smooths the cellulite. And like the face ones, I've used this on my face, but I can see why the smaller ones are a little bit easier on the face. They stimulate collagen production.
Oh, yes.
right? So that helps fight the wrinkles too. I'm like, this is the best tool ever.
Yeah. Yeah. You want a Gua Sha tool like the one that you have that's a little bit larger, that's a little bit heavier. That's why you prefer to have it either out of bone or stone. A heavy bone, because then you don't have to add as much pressure. Right. Yeah. It's like, oh, the tool's doing the work for you instead of you, getting a hand cramp trying to get more pressure in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's nice about this one as well is the way that it's shaped, and because the Gua Sha tools are made more, it's thinner, versus like in the Western world, we're used to massagers being like round balls, right?
Okay.
Like every time you look at a massager, it's always kind of a ball like. So it's different from the Chinese perspective, is if you're using this, it's not a massager, but if you're using it to get into those knots and those trigger points and trying to loosen up muscle, you're going with the muscle fibers, right? Like when you're, it's not brushing, but like you're raking over those muscle bodies, you're moving with the muscle fibers to increase their length, versus the conventional massagers are just like balls, right? That you're like trying to loosen up the muscles, and those can be effective too, but it's just that it's a different approach.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we'll get off that one. Number 6 is lacrosse balls or tennis balls.
Yes. So, lacrosse balls have less, or they're harder, right? So they have less tension versus the tennis balls. So the reason why I think lacrosse balls or tennis balls can be very helpful is for several different things. They also, similar, like I just talking about, as massagers, right? You can roll your feet on them. I often have people put 2 of them together in a tube sock and tie the tube sock together so they're side by side. And it creates this divot between the 2 balls so that you can rest it on the base of your spine. Helps with headaches, right? You can rest it on your neck. That helps with your neck curvature and loosening up those muscles. It also helps with, if you're laying on the ground and you've got those 2 lacrosse balls side by side, you can work those erector spinae, or those muscles, in the main muscles that are on each side of your spinal cord, of your backbone, that are often get tight, right? Or if we're used to being in the computer and on the phone all the time and we're like hunched back over a little bit, that can help to release those muscles so that you can work on your posture a little bit more, right? And they're great also for low back. Like if you're having pain in your low back, your SI joints, you can lay on those 2 tennis balls or lacrosse balls, and they can help to open up that SI joint a little bit. So sometimes if it's really painful, you just have to put a little pressure. Then as you breathe into it, then you can kind of put a little bit more pressure, and it'll help to open up that SI joint and address any low back pain that you're experiencing. Yeah.
Cool.
I love the 2 ball theory because it's inexpensive, right? Most of us can find those. The reason why I offer people a tennis balls is sometimes if people are in pain, or they have a lot of inflammation, they want something with a little bit more give,
Right.
than the lacrosse ball. But you're mimicking. I've already lost the one that I had. Here it is. Because I put it on the floor to roll my feet on it. You're mimicking one of these tools, right? You can see the 2 balls. So if you put the 2 balls in a tube sock, or if you use sports tape and tape them together, this is what you're mimicking. So you get that divot in between. So if you're wanting to use it on your spine, your bones don't have direct contact with the actual ball part, because you don't want to put bone on a ball, as that might be a little bit more painful. But it's also great if you're having shoulder pain, right? To kind of get around that shoulder and that scapula, so you can kind of get up underneath that shoulder blade. That sometimes works better with just 1 ball, but a great way to do that you can do for self-care.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Number 7. The Squatty Potty. I found mine at Ross for $7.
Yes.
I love those things. Like, it does make a difference. It does make a difference.
It does. It does. So I love Squatty Potties. It was actually a naturopathic doctor who patented Squatty Potties
Okay.
out of Washington. And the idea behind Squatty Potties, if you guys haven't heard of it is like a stool that you put around the base of your toilet, so that when you're sitting on your toilet, you put your feet up on this Squatty Potty. So it's kind of like you're squatting, like if you were to go to the bathroom out in the woods, but you're in the comfort of your own home on an actual toilet.
Yeah.
The idea is that when you put your feet on this Squatty Potty, when you're on the toilet, it creates a change in the structure of your rectum, so that when you eliminate, instead of it being at a 90 degrees, so you're having to overcome that angle. Sorry, I don't know where my camera is. You're having to overcome that angle of elimination with the Squatty Potty. You're decreasing that angle. So then gravity's working with you, right, to help eliminate our stool. And so there's a lot less straining oftentimes with folks. It's easier to eliminate. And sometimes even people will say they feel like they fully eliminated their bowel movements. Sometimes when people have a bowel movement, they said, yeah, you know what, I had a great bowel movement, but I feel like I didn't fully eliminate. Right. That can be part of the cause of that feeling, is that the way, because of that angle of the rectum when we eliminate, that it may feel like we're not fully eliminating, because we're not. Right. So if you change the angle by just changing the position of your feet, when you're in that sitting position, helps immensely with our the movement or the elimination of our bowel movements. It also helps to reduce things like hemorrhoids. Or decreases the risk of hemorrhoids, because you're not straining, you're not putting a lot of pressure, and can also help maintain the health of our rectum and anus. Yeah, which, I mean, we don't really talk about it, but everybody wants to have a healthy anus. You don't want to be, you don't want the area to be unhealthy or painful.
Right.
It's one of those things that's super easy to have. They're not really expensive. You can buy them online, and to be able to have, and it stores right underneath your toilet around the base of the toilet, so it's not in the way. It's not like you're having to get it out every time. The way that most of them are built, they just store easily, and then you just pull it out when you need it, when you're using it.
Yep. Cool. All right, number 8, the Vitamix blender.
I love my Vitamix.
I don't have one, so I need like convincing into investing in one of these. All
right. So I do a lot in the kitchen, right? Like I experiment a lot in the kitchen, and I've used a lot of different blenders. I've tried the Ninjas, I've tried the personal blenders, I've tried the NutriBullet. So I like the Vitamix for several different reasons. I am very much I like to make it myself. Right. So I like to use my Vitamix for making things like my own oat milk or almond milk. It has that power. I don't always have to soak my nuts if I lose, or if I forget to soak them overnight. And if I'm making almond milk, I like to make my own flours too, because then I know what's in them. So the Vitamix comes with different attachments, and I've found that like if I wanted to make my own oat flour, right? If I want to make my own almond flour, I can do that in my Vitamix. And it cleans well. It doesn't completely come apart like the Ninjas, but if you have a really good spatula, it makes it easy to come apart. So you can make not just, a lot of everybody thinks you need a blender to make smoothies, right? I don't just make smoothies in my Vitamix. I use it to make soups. It's one less thing I have to cook. And it will heat up the vegetables. Like if I'm making squash soup, I like to make that in my Vitamix. It heats it up, but it doesn't heat it up to the point where it's boiling or simmering, so it doesn't break down the proteins and the enzymes of the vegetables, right? So it would still be considered raw for people who eat a raw diet, because it doesn't get over that 180 degrees.
Mhm.
But you can also use it. So I haven't experimented with this as much, but I have friends that use it as a I want to say a meat tenderizer, but that's not true. They make their own ground beef in it.
Okay.
To be honest, I haven't experimented with that as much, but I have friends who have their own cows, they have their own ranch, and if they want, like, I don't know, fancy ground beef, right, they'll grind their tenderloins in it, or their different cuts of meat instead of getting it all packaged or butchered that way. I don't know. But so I know that it has those aspects as well. Yeah. It's super quick to use. And I mean, I do make a lot of smoothies, but it's a great way to kind of introduce people into getting in more vegetables, right? I also use it as a juicer. So I don't have a separate juicer. I run everything through my Vitamix. If I don't want the pulp, then I just strain it. Like if I'm going to do a juice fast, then I'll just strain it instead of adding another tool in my kitchen. Right. And it's much easier to clean than a juicer. But the more that we Vitamix or break down our vegetables, then it's easier for us to get those nutrients and those minerals out of those vegetables. And so when you're asking people to eat 8-9 cups of vegetables every day, sometimes that's a lot, right? And sometimes when we're really busy, I don't get all that in. So that's why I like to recruit my Vitamix to help make that easier, so I can hit those servings of vegetables on a regular basis.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So number 9, it's air purifier.
Oh, yes. All right. Just like we know, we need to have water, right? Access to good water. We need access to good air. Okay. Oftentimes we take those things for granted. You're like, yeah, I've got water if I choose to drink it. And you're like, I'm breathing, so I must be, getting good air. But sometimes we don't realize how polluted our air is, whether that's with chemicals, whether that's with allergens, right? Dust, pet dander, pollen, mold, or even pathogens, right? Microbes, bacteria, viruses floating in the air. And so if anybody has a history of allergies, asthma, even if you say, okay, I don't really have allergies, but you wake up congested every once in a while, or you live with a pet, or you live in an area that's wet all the time, or you get a lot of rain like we've had in the last several weeks. An air purifier, I think, is essential, right? Especially even if you live, I tell folks, it doesn't matter where you live, whether you live in an apartment, whether you live in a new home with new construction, whether you live in an old home with old construction, and maybe a little bit of moist areas or humid areas in your home, an air purifier is so important. Now, there's a couple, so I want to tell people a difference between an air ionizer and an air purifier, okay, because they are different. An ionizer actually releases ions into the air, and they bind with the particles. They bind with whether it's those allergens, whether it's pathogens, bacteria, whether it's mold. It binds with those, and then it makes them heavy, so then they fall to the ground, right? So then in order to get rid of them, you still need to vacuum the area, right? Dust it, because now all those particles that were in the air have now all fallen, right? Gravity has acted on them. So that's an ionizer, okay? A purifier actually recirculates the air, okay? So it filters and it recirculates. I prefer a purifier because when you filter and recirculating, you're catching all those particles in those filters, okay? So it's not like they're just falling to the ground. I mean, we still need to vacuum and dust, but it kind of contains them in one area, okay? I am picky about air purifiers, so we'll also provide a link at the bottom. If you have allergies and asthma, or if your kids have allergies and asthma, I'm always going to recommend a medical grade filter. Okay, so a medical grade filter is actually a step up from a HEPA filter. We've all heard of HEPA filters. HEPA filters help to filter a lot of the allergens that we think of, those little dust bunnies, things that we see floating in the air. But the medical grade will also address the bacteria and mold and viruses that might be floating around, right? I think, especially if you're going to have a lot of people over, sometimes it's a great time. It's like, hey, I'm going to move my air filter and put it in that main room. Because we know that a lot of upper respiratory bacteria and viruses are transmitted through respiratory droplets. And so if we're filtering that and the out of the air, reduces your chances of getting sick. The other thing is when you're choosing an air filter, you want to pay attention to the square footage, okay?
Right.
So you want an air filter that's either an adequate amount for the square footage you're putting it in, or will cover or more, right? So say this air filter filters like 1,500 square feet in 10 minutes, okay? You want to put it in a space that's 1,500 square feet or less.
Right.
If you put it in a 3,000 square foot space, your machine is going to work harder and you're going to have to change the filters more often, right? So you always want to go on the side of a stronger filter versus a mediocre filter in a bigger area.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And so the more that it recirculates, the better, the more efficient it's going to be, and the cleaner your air is going to be. Yeah.
Cool.
If nothing else, I have people get one for the bedroom, right? We spend a lot of time in our bedroom, and maybe because our bedroom's not as much of a public place, we may not, it may just, be on a different cleaning schedule than the rest of our house, but make sure, so at least start by putting an air filter in your bedroom so that when you're sleeping, you're getting good quality air in that room, because we spend a lot of time breathing at night. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I like mine. Yeah. It has helped. I don't wake up congested anymore. So.
That's usually the first thing. And sometimes I have people who will come to me who they work in an area with like I have one gal, well, I had two, their office building had mold in it, and it was a small independent store, and the landlord didn't want to do anything about it, and he was like, oh no, there's no mold visible, right? It's not a really big deal. But it kept exacerbating her symptoms. She couldn't get better, and she was doing all the things. And I was like, we've got to look at something environmental. There's something that we're missing. And when we tested for mold, she just got a Home Depot, a mold kit from Home Depot. And they had black mold growing underneath the building. And he didn't want to do anything about it. So I told her, and at that point she couldn't, she wasn't in a place where she could quit that job, right? So I said, okay. So we got an air filter that she put in her office, and things improved significantly, right? Until she was able to find another working situation. And I have another person, she's a teacher, and the school has mold in it. And so I said, let's get an air filter, right? That filters out mold for you and your students.
Right.
Completely change, right? She didn't have any of the brain fog, the headache. She's like, wow, I feel like I can actually function as a teacher and help these kids, because she was doing the oil diffusing, a diffuser, but I was like, it's helping to kind of mask things a little bit, but it's not getting to that root cause. We've got to address the mold spores that were floating in the air. And so it works. Yeah. I think it works well to address our environmental exposures that we don't always know, right? I mean, we assume that the air that we're breathing is good quality, but let's make choices to ensure that the air quality that we're exposed to on a regular basis is actually supporting our health and not making it worse.
Yep. Cool. All right, last one, my least favorite one. Castor oil packs.
All right. So I love castor oil.
Deal.
So it is. And actually I've heard of companies streamlining the castor oil pack process. Yeah. So I haven't experimented with these, but I have some colleagues that have looked at them. And it was actually a naturopathic doctor that started this company, and they're actually castor oil, they're patches. Mm-hmm. So it's all kind of self-contained and you apply it to the area.
Nice.
So it's a little bit less messy, but I mean, old school and the affordable route is to use castor oil. So I recommend castor oil often. Okay. And the reason why, so castor oil is made from castor beans, right? And castor is a plant that's been around forever. Mm-hmm. The benefits of castor oil, it's easy to see those benefits when we're in pain. Okay, so it works well for injuries, strains, sprains, great for adhesions. If people have had like abdominal surgery or surgery where they've got scarring, scar tissue internally that can be causing pain. It's great for abdominal things, all the way from our liver to like liver congestion to constipation or diarrhea. It works by, again, kind of addressing the inflammation, increasing the lymph movement within our internal organs, right? So we talked about lymph brushing to address the lymph on the within our circulation, but we also have lymph circulation internally, right? Like a little bit deeper, and that's where that castor oil can work really well. A little bit goes a long way, but it is very sticky and it can stain our clothes or material. And so that's why not everybody's really excited and gung-ho to do it often. But the benefits, I think, outweigh that inconvenience. And once you get kind of a pattern, it's a little bit easier to do. Mm-hmm. But so what you do is you take castor oil and you apply it to the affected area. And usually I have people wrap it with plastic because it can be really messy, right? And you don't want to stain your clothes. And then you apply a heating source to kind of drive it in. You want to keep that castor oil on for about 45 minutes to an hour. And to take it off, baking soda is the key. You can do a solution of baking soda and water, or just baking soda directly, apply it to anywhere that might still be sticky from the castor oil, and that helps to remove any castor oil residue. Yeah. But everybody could benefit from castor oil because in the modern world that we live in, our liver and our detoxification pathways are consistently being bombarded by pesticides, preservatives, right? Like chemicals in the air, car exhaust, things on our food, right? Our quality of our water. And so we're constantly being bombarded with things that our liver has to detox. So giving your liver a little extra support with castor oil packs can be very, very beneficial. Sometimes if people have an acute situation where they experience pain, or they've been diagnosed with fatty liver, or they have a hormone imbalance, something that we know is causing their, or something that we know that's a symptom of liver dysfunction, castor oil packs can be really beneficial, of doing them often. So like 3 to 4 times a week. I do have some people who may just do maintenance just once a week, but it can kind of help promote that circulation of lymph, right? Decrease that inflammation in the liver, but also other topical areas that might be in pain or have adhesions. So I will also look up that company that has the castor oil patches now that you can wear and apply to the affected area, because it's a little bit less messy. It's a little bit more compact and all in one package, I guess. But it's one thing that I encourage everybody to try because the benefits can be really helpful for our overall all body health.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's favorite, but maybe if we find a way to help.
It's like, get the wash rag out that's soaked in castor oil, put it on the area, get your husband to get the saran wrap thing out, wrap it with saran wrap.
I'm glad that there's a couple of other options out there now that's a little bit more easier to use. So we're gonna have to put those to the test and see. You can still get the benefit with a little bit less mess.
Yes. Yep, that's our top 10 list, friends. I hope that it's helpful. Lots of fun stuff to just kind of help support your holistic health. So yeah, we'll put all the links. They are not affiliate links. They are just links to our favorite things in the show notes, and on YouTube, it'll be in the description. So if you guys are interested in what we love, then you can find those things there. Have a great day, friends.
Thanks.